Hello, and we are back with another Tales from the Tabletop Tavern.
Last time on Tales from the Tabletop Tavern. We're not a serialized show. Oh.
Hmm.
Yeah, that darn announcer guy. He just shows up sometimes. I just want a hug. Quiet you.
Is there a topic for players who have to narrate everything?
That could be a topic in the future, but for now we're talking about our favorite games that you might not have played.
Yeah. Now we all know we've all heard of D&D. D&D, even if you've never played a tabletop game, it's been put into the pop culture so much. Everybody knows Dungeons and Dragons.
There was even a 1980s Saturday morning cartoon about it.
And a really shitty movie. Shitty good kind of thing. Like, you could laugh at it.
Not really.
Nah, I think it sort of etches into so bad it's good.
The sequel actually is funnier, but it's funnier because it makes fun of the rules.
True. And then the Dead Ale Wives did their own take on that. And yeah. And the rest is history.
Anyways.
What about the other games? Ones you might not have played.
And I'm gonna try to stick to being as obscure as possible for my recommendations, even though everyone should totally play at least one game of Shadowrun in their lives.
Oh, definitely. I had fun with that.
Yeah, but Shadowrun is like the number 3 tabletop game. Everyone should also play Old World of Darkness, not New World of Darkness, but Old World of Darkness, and that's the number 2 game period. So I'm gonna try to go a bit more obscure than that.
Well, what about Call of Cthulhu? How's that for obscurity?
That's somewhere in the middle. Call of Cthulhu is a fun one, but the thing is that here's how you play Call of Cthulhu. You put some numbers on a sheet, you roll some dice, and then you die.
You don't just die. You die in horrible ways that probably should not be described when your mother is in the room.
Though there is the story of Old Man Henderson who, quote-unquote, won Call of Cthulhu.
How would he do that?
He drove a tanker truck full of gasoline into Hastur.
I'm guessing he did not survive.
No, but he stopped Hastur from being summoned.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say that name a third time in this session, so ha!
Yeah, basically his name is like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, you say it 3 times and he shows up and he makes everybody go crazy.
Hey, you think Beetlejuice was actually inspired by that?
Probably.
Yeah, it's like some obscure reference.
Lovecraft was around at that point. It wasn't that obscure. But anyway, Call of Cthulhu is pretty good. It gets a solid 6 on my 7 meter.
I suppose if you want to play something like Call of Cthulhu, but you don't actually want to play it, the board game Arkham Horror is a pretty good substitute. You sort of get the same feeling.
But we're trying to stick to tabletop RPGs, and Arkham Horror is more about trying to keep multiple plates spinning before they come crashing down, and Call of Cthulhu is more... You're on a plate that's about to come crashing down, and you've just got to figure out how to get off it.
All right.
Yeah, that's Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
But you got a recommendation for an RPG?
I never played a lot of different RPGs. Like, I played Shadowrun. I know of Call of Cthulhu, but never played it. And I have one recommendation that I know we're gonna recommend at the end of this. That starts with a P, ends with an Oya.
Well, there's that. There's also Ironclaw.
Yeah, there is Ironclaw. I guess I could recommend that.
Yeah, Ironclaw I definitely recommend. Ironclaw has... First off, it's basically D&D, but furrier. It's Dungeons and Dragons, but all the races are anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah.
And that lets you do medieval fantasy, but do it from another angle, I think. It makes it so you get to move away from the Tolkien mode and then try to do something completely different. It's got a very interesting system that's sort of a combination of a traditional die rolling system and a die pool system. using elements from both. It's got the best and easiest magic system that I have ever seen. Basically, magic is treated like any other weapon, and you draw it, you fling it, and then you gotta draw it again. Simple.
Yeah.
And you can...
Yeah, the whole your animals thing is definitely an interesting concept. You could either play with the stereotypes of clever as a fox, or you could be some dumb brute of a fox if you want to play like that.
You could totally do that. You could even be an atavist fox, which is a fox who is just in tune with his foxdom and just uses his natural abilities to a massive extent. It's atavists are fun because you basically are treating them like semi-intelligent animals because that's what they are.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and your pack animals are dinosaurs.
Oh yeah. All your pack animals are dinosaurs, which just makes too much sense.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
It's definitely one to look for, and definitely got. If you want something a little different but similar to D&D, go for it.
Yeah, I highly also recommend Victoriana.
Ah, yes, Victoriana.
Yeah, it's a mostly historically accurate Victorian England, but with magic and steampunk, and in fact, forget the historical accuracy. It's kind of hilarious how much they flip-flop on that. It's like, sure, Queen Victoria came to power at the exact same time, reigned mostly the exact same way up until about 1860. By the way, she's an elf. Oh, there's a Christian allegory religion that's not quite Christianity at all.
Yeah.
There's a Judaism allegory religion that's not quite Judaism at all. There are also Tolkien races and also more anthropomorphic animals running around.
I played a white tiger from India.
Yeah, we had a foxman shyster. That was fun.
Oh yeah, and then we had a dwarf who was insane.
Yeah, the one time I got to play, I played a gnome, a Jewish gnome who was just sort of interested in looking at things, and would take out a jeweler's loupe and just go around looking at things, and often just stumble into the plot. That was all kinds of fun.
Yeah. Well, I do like the morality of the law in
it's
the chaos
not,
and order.
It's also got the best alignment system I've seen, because there are two cosmic forces that are trying to influence your character, and that is the power of law and the power of entropy.
Yeah, that's it. Law and entropy, sorry.
Yeah, and entropy is not necessarily bad, and law is not necessarily good.
Yeah, like, for example, a lawful act could be to turn everybody into a mindless zombie who is equal to everyone. That's technically would be a lawful act because...
Or to burn down a city for harboring a single necromancer.
That would be a chaotic act, but it's...
No, that would be a totally lawful act because you're doing it in the service of the greater law.
Oh, I see. I thought you were trying to do an example of chaos. Okay.
No. But chaos is also the spark of invention. If law had its way, nothing would ever change. That said, the demon lords kind of also want everyone to be absolutely equal in terms of everyone has complete and utter power to reshape the entire universe as they see fit. So
that's not good either.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, in fact, you go too far on both sides, you lose. Your character just you lose control.
You stop being a playable character is what you do.
Yeah.
It's kind of like hitting 0 on the humanity meter in Vampire the Masquerade.
Or
technically you're still...
in Shadowrun. Yeah, we got that.
Well, Shadowrun's morality meter is
No,
less...
I'm talking about when you put too many odds on you.
Yeah, well, hitting 0 essence is a little different because you could technically be a cyber zombie.
I suppose, but I don't think anyone's going to let you.
No, I'd let a player be a cyber zombie. I would throw every single disadvantage that they have in his face.
Would I have to recruit like a punky little kid to reteach me and promise I will solemnly swear not to kill anyone?
No, you'd have to be in debt to a megacorp for the rest of your puny existence.
Of course.
Because your soul is literally trying to leave your body.
Point taken. All right, moving back.
But yeah, no, it's similar to hitting the bottom of the morality meter in Vampire. Your character's still alive when you hit the final part of the morality meter in Victoriana, but you're just not playable.
Yeah. That is a problem. It's definitely very...
unlike Vampire, because Victoriana isn't just a horror game, it does say that the player has to agree to hit that mark. So you can't hit it accidentally.
Yeah, that's at least fair enough. But knowing you would have us agree to it can go down without you knowing, so pay attention. But we'd have to agree to that before the game even starts.
Yeah. Because
just having it so that the player can go as close as he can and then just say, no, I don't want it to go down. I don't know. That seems a little cheap. Feels though you should, as a player, keep some risks, some actual balance in that.
Yeah, there's a risk, and then there's
the reward.
There's a risk, and then there's a sword of Damocles hanging over your head because you are too awesome.
Exactly.
And unlike the other morality meters, you have to be awesome to earn more.
Yeah. What are some other tabletop games that would be good?
Well, there's a variant of Victoriana called Airship Pirates.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, that uses the same system as Victoriana, but it's set in a world where a time-traveling rock band tried to fix history and ended up fucking it over. I'm totally serious on that point.
Which band?
Abney Park.
I've never heard of them.
They're a steampunk goth rock band. They literally the whole game is based on their music. Huh. But it's set in 2106, where a time-traveling airship from 1906 crashes into their plane going off on a tour in 2006, killing the inventor, and then they're like, hey, wait, we've got a time-traveling airship now. And so they go throughout history, and they basically remove all the petty dictators and all the nasty people. And then there's a malfunction. They end up in 2106, and it turns out that when you have no dictators, when one rises to power, he kind of takes over easily, and this guy was worse than everyone.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, and what's especially worse is he's a fanatical environmentalist. In other words, he thinks that humans need to be removed from the environment.
So what Captain Planet would probably become if he didn't have morality.
Yeah, he's Captain Planet Hitler. And he shoves...
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say Captain Planet Hitler?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, alternate continuity. Captain Planet, he fuses with Hulk Hogan mustached Hitler. And that's what happened.
But yeah, what happens is he shoves most of humanity into these tightly packed cities with giant friggin' walls and reverts all their technologies back to the Victorian era. And then he genetically engineers giant monstrosities based on extinct animals and genetically engineers them with a taste for human flesh. And just releases them into the wild.
So you leave the city, it's Attack on Titan.
Basically, there's only two groups outside of the city that are viable. There's the Neo-Bedouins who are tribalists and are able to fight the monsters and hide in places and things like that. And then there are these sky folk who just live on airships and just raise their middle fingers at them.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And you're playing a pirate. Oh, and there are other time machines around. You might find one.
Oh my god! Oh my god. So I'm guessing this one is... You're not meant to take it as seriously. Like, you got a little more fun to it. Like, of course you can take it seriously, but I feel as though the setting is like, just relax. We're here to have some fun.
It's taking place in the collective discography of one weird steampunk goth rock band. I mean, what do you think at that point?
Yeah, pretty much. So, if you want an adventure that will make your players go, wait, that's the plot? Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
And just pick up Airship Pirates. It's awesome. It also, as well as Victoriana, has one of my favorite charts in gaming. The drunk chart.
What?
There's a chart in both Airship Pirates and in Victoriana for how drunk you are. It is one of my favorite charts in gaming, and I use it in other games too if people get drunk.
Oh my god, okay, how do you roll on it? I gotta know.
Well, what it is that every time you take a dose of booze, you roll a save, and if you fail that save, you go down one mark on the chart, and you start getting penalties to things the further down you are. And the first thing you start taking penalties to is penalties to resist having other drinks.
That makes way too much sense.
Exactly. It's a good idea to have another drink. Go, go, go.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, you start laughing at everyone's jokes, and then your legs stop working.
Actually, no. Here's what happened. It's when Peter... It's that first episode of Family Guy. Let's play Drink the Beer. Gulp, gulp. You win. Where do I win? Another beer. He just accepts.
Oh, I'm going for the high score.
Exactly. It's that. That's what it is.
Exactly. But it's one of my favorite charts in all of gaming, I'll be honest.
I can see why.
Yeah. Let me think. Other good ones that I've played and run in. There's always the Stargate D20, which was a pretty good D20. It's based on Spycraft, which is probably the best modern day D20 game because just what you're doing, D20 modern. What are you doing?
You got me.
But the reason why I recommend the Stargate one is that they were actually working with the writers of the series to make it for a time, and they integrate things very, very well. Like they take Spycraft's car chase mechanic, and they say this works very perfectly with space battles. So now you do chases for all vehicular combat. Whether it's you're on a bicycle and they're on a bicycle, or you're on a bicycle and they're in a tank, or you're in a spacecraft and they're on a bicycle.
Wait, are you the one chasing or are they chasing you? Because they're chasing you on a bicycle. What the hell are they armed with?
Well, this is Stargate, so some kind of energy weapon.
I'm just trying to imagine that, and it's just...
I once totally just... I built a character that my game master was not prepared for in this game. And I built this character to fly aircraft, to drive vehicles, and to know computers.
Fair enough.
All right, so we get to this planet, and this planet is being attacked by Goa'uld, which are the big bad aliens with the pyramid-shaped ships in Stargate. And they land a craft, and rev my Jeep up, and their craft have this big pyramid backing on it. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna rev my Jeep up. It's got a tail-mounted machine gun. The guy in the back, I yell at the guy in the back, hang on. I drive it up, and guy in the back, would you please kindly just riddle them full of holes? And like the GM's like, oh, you asshole. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Now wait till you see what I do next. The GM's like, what? And so I drive the Jeep into the loading bay of their landing craft, and we take it. And I'd speak go old because I'm on a Stargate team.
Oh my god.
One moment. All right, so I jump my Jeep off the back of the landing craft, and my GM looks at me and says, "You asshole." And I'm like, "Well, that's fine. My rear gunner is just going to fill them full of holes." And the Jeep lands, and I say, "Okay, now I'm going to turn it around and fly it into the landing craft's loading bay." And GM's like, "What?"
What?
And I've got I speak the language because I'm on a Stargate team, so there's no reason why I wouldn't take the 1-point skill point to speak the damn language.
Makes perfect sense.
So I say, all right, I'm going to use my computers to hack this thing, and
I bet he's just going, what?
Yeah, and I make the rolls. And GM made them what the GM thought was very difficult, but I had specialized in this, so I knew exactly what I was doing.
Oh.
So now I'm flying a landing craft, and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to use my computer skill to fake their IFF and fly it back to their mothership.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, it gets better.
Now I'm just imagining that's what the GM is just like screaming in his mind.
So I fake the IFF, I get it back on the ship, and then we fight our way to the bridge, at which point I go, okay, now I'm going to hack the bridge.
And of course you make it.
I make it. I space everyone that's not on the bridge.
Ha.
I just go, open all airlocks. And then I start flying it away.
So people, if you want to play a game where you could possibly do that.
Yeah. Oh, and GM sends 2 of them to chase me and was obviously no longer in it anymore. I'm like, okay, I'm going to outmaneuver them and then lose them in that asteroid field. Okay, that's fine. And I did it all within the rules. And I bring it back to Earth, and that GM only ran like 3 more sessions of it because every single mission after that I go, ooh, can we take my Hatak? It's not your Hatak. I'm sorry, who flew it here?
Who was able to single-handedly get in there, hack it, get it back here intact?
Without any of its crew to fight over it.
Exactly.
It's mine. Admit it. It's mine.
Yep. I mean, yeah, technically it's your factions, but let's face it, you're the one holding the car keys.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the Stargate D20. Spycraft is also very good.
That's what I always wanted to play. I heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's James Bond D20 basically.
Yeah, let's face it, we've all wanted to be James Bond at one point or another. And of course, every time we get to do something, someone has to go da 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 da
da da da.
Just put that one clip from MS3, MST3K, where he goes going ba 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 da every time they're just doing something mundane.
Yeah, that's Stargate D20.
And a bit of Spycraft.
And a bit of Spycraft. It's the same system. It uses a lot of the same tweaks, which it's still basically 3.5, because remember 3.5 had that open game license thing?
So everybody pretty much, if it has a license, it used that, which was both good and bad. I mean, you had a couple
you had some good ones, you had some bad ones.
You might want to talk about some RPGs you might want to avoid, or generations you want to
The World of Warcraft RPG, it's another D20, but it's literally only there to appeal to min-maxers.
Yeah.
You also, if anyone in your group suggests playing Fatal, you punch them in the goddamn mouth. Don't look it up. Don't Google it. You punch them in the goddamn mouth.
And then kick them in the nuts for good measure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're Googling it right now. I warned you! I totally warned you!
Yeah, let's face it. They either already know what it is, or they're Googling it.
I warned you.
That's...
Eclipse Phase is really good. Eclipse Phase takes place in a near-future, post-singularity world, where humanity has advanced to the point where the brain is basically software. You could buy a new body at your local Walmart, but artificial intelligences have taken over the Earth and have basically abandoned it.
So the Matrix, but then the computer's just fucked off.
Not quite. It's you're in the real world, but you can basically just buy a new body. And in fact, most people are not using baseline human bodies at all. They're using either genetically modified baseline human bodies, or they're using uplifted animal bodies, or they're using robots.
Yeah, nobody goes normal. Nobody goes basic.
Yeah, because you have to deal with being sick, and that's just takes up so much time.
So let's see. I gotta buy a body that has, the hyper immunity along with the update for that new strain of whatever disease is going on around here. Oh, but then my friend has that super strength, and he's always asking me to arm wrestle, so I gotta put that in, and it's like,
it just might be easier to be a robot, but
exactly.
then again, that's not fashionable. But then again, you could be a giant robotic crab, or you could be a swarm of nanobots, or you could
go classic Terminator endoskeleton. If I'm feeling nostalgic.
Oh yeah, you could totally do that.
I could see it's definitely an interesting society you could try living in. I mean, it's an interesting concept.
But what ended up happening is we made hyper intelligent AIs, who basically they took over the Earth. And bear in mind, most of humanity that survived were on either off-world colonies or in orbiting habitats. Humanity numbers about 500 million, which are the humans that survived on Earth are a minority of that 500 million.
I figured as much, because let's face it, when Skynet does the whole uprising, he's pretty efficient with that.
What Skynet did with that whole uprising was grab a bunch of humans, upload their brains into giant computers, and then left. Rather mysteriously. Now there are a bunch of semi-intelligent robots that are still basically doing their last programmed action, which is grab humans and upload their brains.
And we don't know why it did it, huh?
No, we don't. All we know is that they went to the edge of the solar system and found something called a gate. There's a term for it, but I forget what it is. But it's a gate, and they used it, and they disappeared. And then aliens showed up, and they showed up and said, "Don't build hyper-intelligent AI, don't use these gates. They're bad."
They just showed up just to say that, huh?
And everyone collectively goes, "Gee, I wish you showed up yesterday."
So what do we do with the aliens?
We don't know much about the aliens. The aliens just basically, they showed up, they said that, and they left, and every once in a while they show up to say that.
What? I feel like this is like a comedy sketch now.
It's not really. It's just they're not very useful aliens, is what I'm trying to get across.
So it's those aliens from Robot Chicken.
And of course, humanity totally ignores them.
Because they're not Americans or something like that. I don't know, something stupid
we totally ignore them because we're like, ooh, quick ways off world. What? No, don't use the gates. They lead to other solar systems. There's dangers, and they let things in. And oh crap, you've already settled a world on another solar system. Damn it! Exactly.
Yeah, just get that one alien for Robot Chicken. Yeah, and pretty much that guy.
Yeah, it's because some of the more powerful factions in Eclipse Phase are giant megacorps.
So I went into Shadowrun, but even further into the future. Okay.
They're not the only ones, though. There are political blocs and religions and
Giant, and of course, alien
thing.
monsters. You gotta always have those.
Well, no. The only aliens we know of are the ones who showed up to say, I can see the future, and you shouldn't do that!
Oh, wait, you already did?
Oh,
no! I'm on fire!
Exactly.
Oh my god, it was those aliens!
Yeah, I need you to stop doing these things in the future!
We're already doing them!
Oh no!
Oh my god, it really is!
It's basically those guys, yeah.
Wow. That sucks.
And, yeah.
I suppose we could talk about paranoia next, but the problem is that information is kind of above our...
It's way above your clearance.
Yeah, it's way above my clearance level.
Someday I will run paranoia on this channel.
Someday.
But for now, just know that paranoia is above your clearance. You don't get to know about paranoia.
You totally should look it up, but don't let Fred Computer know you did.
I'm sorry, your clone line has been discontinued. Bam!
You know what? If I was a more clever person, I'd just end the video on that.
Yeah, but no, I've got other things to talk about. Like...
Exactly, but okay, real talk. Paranoia is a very good game, but it's good if you only know some of the basics and you don't actually know everything. It's a lot more fun when you play like that.
That's not quite true. You're not allowed to show knowledge of the game. So if you read too much into the books and you try to rules lawyer, your GM will smash you.
Because it's above your color clearance.
It's also a parody of regular tabletop gaming, so don't make it your first game.
Exactly. It's a game, and also don't expect to survive it.
No, it's like Dwarf Fortress. Losing is fun!
Happiness is mandatory.
Absolutely, happiness is mandatory.
Yeah,
also, using your mutant powers that you totally have
or
is
you
treason.
should have.
Yeah. Being a member of a secret society, which you are, is treason.
Exactly. It's a game where the GM, pretty much it's a rule in the thing saying the GM is allowed to lie, fuck with you. It's actually the title. It's actually roll. He could say you didn't.
It's actually the title of the first part of the GM part of the book is you can kill them whenever you want.
Yeah, this is a game that you definitely don't need to take too seriously. You're supposed to have a lot of fun with it. Although, I highly do recommend checking out the guidebook, if only for the really hilarious artwork. It is top-notch artwork. Really cartoonish, really sets the mood. Just looking up that stuff alone is just worth the game's admission, so to speak.
There's also Dark Heresy, Rogue Trader, Death Watch.
The
basically
40Ks.
All the 40K stuff. I don't really need to introduce 40K. It's become a cultural phenomenon on its own right these days.
It's not basically, quite the level of D&D, but definitely up there.
If you like science fiction of the last 20 years, they probably ripped something off of 40K.
Hell, StarCraft wasn't StarCraft originally supposed to be a 40K game?
Well, Warcraft was originally supposed to be Warhammer, and then they didn't get permission, so they ended up making Warcraft, and then they were like, what's our next game gonna be? I know, let's do Warcraft in space. Isn't that just 40K? Even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but as a tabletop RPG, it's very good. The universe of 40K is just massively oppressive, and it's just really fun to play as someone who is starting at the bottom. It's not a power fantasy by any means, like a lot of games become. It's a game about trying to survive in a world that wants you dead. Not you personally, it just wants everyone dead.
Not just the world, the universe, the multiverse, pretty much everything just wants you dead.
But Nurgle just wants a hug.
Sadly, though, Nurgle pretty much wants to... He also loves us flesh-eating bacteria. And, oh, look, he wants to give you some when he hugs you.
Yeah, well, obviously, he just loves all life. And there's a lot more of them than you.
Exactly. And they need a place to live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you weren't using your bloodstream.
Yeah, pretty much. The way I see 40K, it's got really serious, oppressive stuff, but then he also gets stuff kind of like that, a bit of dark comedy, the bit of dark irony on that kind of thing.
There is so much of 40K that just rolls around from the grim dark to the grim silly, like
the orcs.
There's everything to do with the orcs. There's also Caiaphas Cain, hero of the Imperium, which is a totally awesome book series you should read.
Yeah.
Caiaphas Cain is a commissar. Commissar's job is to shoot you if you act like a coward, and he's a coward. And so he's trying to basically just survive through all of the shit that the 40K universe wants to throw at him. But every time he survives, the universe just throws more crazy shit at him, and his bosses put him into more and more dangerous positions because he can obviously handle it. He's the guy who survives that shit.
You know what I think? Here's my theory. Every god, every cosmic being, everything that has the power to influence the universe, agreed to basically let this one guy live and do his shit because it's so goddamn hilarious.
Yeah, Caiaphas Cain.
I think
and if you want to play any of those tabletop RPGs, reading the Caiaphas Cain books is basically like a guide to how to play those tabletop RPGs. He does everything right.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, the Warhammer, Warhammer and the 40K, actual tabletop war games are also pretty good. But the RPGs I think, is something that not everybody knows about. Because I think, the war game has... They didn't
really market them very well. There was a second edition for Dark Heresy, but it's not very good. And they didn't make very many books for it. And it's just... stick to the first edition. So that's Dark Heresy, Death Watch, Black Crusade, Only War, and Rogue Trader.
Yeah. Let's see. What else should we talk about? I mean, there's a lot of good games.
Well, there's Hackmaster.
Hackmaster, yeah, there's that.
Yeah, Hackmaster is a tongue-in-cheek parody of old school D&D.
Isn't it that when you roll up a character, you can just die right there?
No, that's Traveler.
Right.
No, Hackmaster, you decide like 2 things about your character, and then you end up rolling your entire backstory.
Okay, I want to be a dwarven paladin.
Okay, let's see what your childhood was like. And then you spend like 2 hours freaking rolling your backstory.
So I was amazing. An orphan prince who got his arm eaten by a giant sea monster, but then I want to be the Hokage.
And you have 3 brothers, even though you're an orphan prince.
Exactly. And one of them...
And you had a roommate in college who wants you dead.
And he's also... And I have to find the 7 Horcruxes that he made.
Exactly. That's Hackmaster. Hackmaster is very, very silly, and it's the kind of game that if you like charts, you will love.
Or you can just play Kingmaker.
Kingmaker is best if you incorporate its rules into a game with one guy who likes charts.
Yeah.
Because, as he can attest, because I am that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, trust me. Yeah, you know that Zelda game we referenced in the last episode? Yeah, that's what we're incorporating Kingmaker with.
Yeah. So, and I'm totally best kingdom administrator ever.
Well, it helps that you can make weapons of mass destruction.
Oh yeah, and I'm totally going to defend my territory with cruise missiles.
Yeah, I should also mention Pathfinder and D&D. they're not the same, but they're really close cousins, so to speak.
Pathfinder exists because 4th edition D&D was a massive departure from 3rd edition. So people like to refer to it as D&D 3.75.
Exactly.
Because D&D had a 3rd and a half edition.
Exactly. You know, if you like... And the best part about Pathfinder, it's constantly still being, you know, tended to. They're adding, you know, modules and adventure paths, new races. In fact, they just came out with the, what's basically the, what's the name of that magic ship, you know, spaceship in D&D?
Spelljammer.
Yeah, they're basically doing their version of Spelljammer, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool. And the best part is that the wiki is free to check out. Like, you still would...
because they needed to do that to stay in the open game license.
Yeah. You still need to get the adventure pass, but the game is, if you want to start off with something basic and easy to sort of digest, I would recommend Pathfinder as sort of a beginner, and then sort of work your way towards other crazier or more advanced stuff.
I also highly recommend Toon.
Oh, yeah! The cartoon RPG.
Yeah, Toon is another one that you do not want to take seriously. You want to just screw with stuff.
Yeah. What is it that you have to roll to? Is it that if you're floating above the ground, you have to make a roll to not look down?
No, it's if you run off a cliff, you make a smarts check, and you want to fail that smarts check, otherwise you fall.
Yeah, because if you're not smart, you quote unquote forget the first law of gravity.
Uh-huh. And so gravity only works if you notice it.
Exactly. And I'm guessing there's also rolls to say you paint something on the wall to make it real, like a tunnel.
There's an item that you can get to do that.
And of course the ability to have a
there's
giant
also
ass hammer space.
Yeah, there's the collapsible mallet, which just fits in your pocket.
Honestly, though, I think Toon could be a pretty cool game, especially if you want to do like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit style of adventure.
It's much better as a one-shot because it's not very serious at all.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but it's still a lot of fun to play once or twice. Another game from way back in the day that I recommend, but I recommend it under a very specific circumstance, is a game called Bunnies and Burrows.
Oh, well, what's that?
You are playing a perfectly ordinary bunny rabbit.
What?
I know. You are playing a perfectly ordinary bunny rabbit.
So we could recreate Watership Down?
It is basically Watership Down the RPG.
Okay, fair enough. I suppose you could try something. I could see some sort of funny appeal to that.
But the biggest thing I use it for is if I'm in a group with power gamers.
And nothing brings down a power gamer more than being a goddamn bunny.
Yeah, you are a bun. If the entire party works together and trains really, really hard, they might be able to take on a dog.
And I'm guessing a fox is basically the Tarrasque.
No, human's the Tarrasque. What are you talking about?
I guess you're right. Okay, so the fox is a dragon and a human is a Tarrasque.
Yeah.
And a dog is like an ogre.
Yeah. If the party tries really, really hard, they could reliably take on a dog.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, and the funniest thing is that the one combat skill you can learn is called Bun Fu.
Bun Fu, okay. Good night, everybody. We're not going to top that tonight.
Well, there's still a little bit more time.
We're not going to top that.
We're not going to top that, but I'm just going to throw in a few random ones at the outset. Big Eye, Small Mouth, especially 3rd edition.
Could you at least give a small description of like what's it about?
It's the anime RPG.
Okay.
Like Toon is for Western cartoons, Big Eye, Small Mouth is the anime RPG.
All right.
It's actually indirectly the first RPG I ever played.
Mutants and Masterminds. Third edition,
Definitely
I think, is on the Open Gaming license, or was it 4th edition?
It is on the Open Gaming license. Aberrant, which is a different take on a superhero RPG. Aberrant superpowers cause cancer, and it's literally killing you. But hey!
You got powers.
You got powers. And it's White Wolf, which is awesome. Street Fighter the RPG.
Wait, they made an RPG?
White Wolf made it.
Wow.
So it's technically rules compatible with Aberrant, if you wanted to have superheroes in a Street Fighter game, or all of World of Darkness.
Oh my god! I could totally make a Kuma!
I am currently in a game where I am playing an Asian changeling in a Street Fighter tournament.
That is... you know what? That honestly makes so much sense. I love it.
Yeah. So
you know what? Yeah, even if the game itself isn't that good, the fact that it's compatible with World of Darkness ups it.
Yeah, I am literally playing someone who turns into a freaking metal raccoon, and...
You know what? Given all the crazy stuff that the characters can do, you know what? I think it still fits.
It still fits. It definitely still fits. But while we're still on White Wolf, I also kind of recommend Scion. Scion's an interesting one. That one you are literally playing a demigod.
Yeah.
And that has its fun moments. In true White Wolf fashion, though, they make it so that as your powers increase, you start to have to fight the fact that you are literally turning into your divine parentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that White Wolf always gotta dampen your good times.
Yeah.
And this is a game I haven't played, but I have heard amazing things about. Don't Rest Your Head.
Yeah, you told me about that one.
It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland meets Call of Cthulhu. And it's basically you and your character has not slept for at least 3 days, and is starting to see things like passageways into the nightmare realms.
Hello, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, and you start gaining superpowers as long as you don't sleep, but as soon as you sleep, you lose them all.
And Freddy Krueger wants you dead.
Oh yeah, and the nightmares still want you dead, and so the book actually recommends if you fall asleep to just roll up a new character, because there's no way you're going to survive.
Yeah, Dream Warrior, you are not.
But yeah, that one's a good one. Another one I haven't played, but I've heard amazing things about is Unknown Armies. And it is...
Warning, do not read Unknown Armies, do not look up Unknown Armies. If you wish to play Unknown Armies, do not look it up. If you wish to run the game, you should look it up. Otherwise do not look it up, but do play it. Signed, a friend.
And that ends the show, everybody.
Right, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed this, and that was weird with that weird cutoff there, right? What the hell happened?
I don't know. It was almost like some interdimensional conspiracy that's trying to rewrite reality in its own image. Just jumped in and asserted itself.
I was just gonna say that Camtasia was just screwing up with me, but I guess that could work.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So I hope you all, have an idea of some RPGs that maybe are on the other side of the road that you might not have heard of, or maybe heard of but didn't know anything about. There are plenty of RPGs out there. Good, bad, and of course, always fun like D&D.
Well, you gotta remember, tabletop role-playing is like sex. Even when it's bad, at least you're getting some.
That honestly is true, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
Except Fatal. That's like just...
Yeah. If someone says that they want to run Fatal, you punch them in the goddamn nose.
And possibly search their house and burn either the game itself or the instructions that you download online. Just set fire to the house.
Yeah,
You know, I don't think a court will throw you away in if they know that you did it for that.
Yeah,
Seriously, just don't.
And given Fatal's nature, he's probably got kiddie porn in there anyways.
Exactly. We might discuss it in like a later one involving games you probably should not play or versions you probably should avoid.
Unfortunately, that is about the only one that I would ever list, because I think every other bad game is peanuts compared to Fatal. And the worst part is Fatal has like 2 good ideas that are buried in absolute garbage shit and a sexual understanding equivalent to a 2-year-old.
And what would those 2 ideas be?
They have to do with how it handles certain math stuff.
Ah, alright. We don't want to bore you with math, so we'll save on next time.
They're not even good ideas that you can apply to other games, really.
Right. See you all next time. Hope you all enjoyed these tales from the Tabletop Tavern. Let us know any games that you would recommend to someone who's just curious for something a little different. Or any ideas for the next episode.
And if you would like to win a chance to play Paranoia, please contact us.
And just remember, happiness is mandatory.
Unfortunately, knowledge of what is mandatory is above your clearance.
Zap!